Okay. This is my 450C John Deere. Don't ask me the year. Mainly doing this so I can remember, and maybe it'll help you. It's a 6-way blade. It does have a winch on it, but here's what happened this time. I bought this dozer. It had been sitting for 10 years, and I bought it to do a logging job we're doing, but it's been sitting 10 years, so there was water in the transmission. Changed the oil, changed the oil, changed the radiator, changed all the fluids, hydraulic, everything got changed. It's got a couple of new hoses, just kind of replacing hoses as they bust. But this track, which would be the left-hand side if you're driving, when you pulled back on your sticks, it didn't pull easy like that. It would stop, and you had to two hands all the way back in your crotch there. See, now it works like that one, I guess. But this track, the brake was going in before the clutch. So what I did, because when you was pulling, this track was just stopping. Oh, under the seat. Get my light. Maybe you can see that light right there. Yeah. Okay, so this one right here, where my finger's at, runs all the way back to that one right there, which is your runs inside your clutches and your brake and all that. But you can see when you move it, pull the lever, it works that piston right there, and then it goes through, and there's a screw on the back of this one. This is all one big rod. Come on, and then it works into this one right here, which goes to your brakes. There's another cable that hooks in back here on this lever, if you follow that rod back, and that hooks to this one, which hooks to that cable, and this is your brake over here on your right hand side. But what I did is I turned this got a jam nut. You can see the jam nut right there on the tip of my finger. Loosen the jam nut and come toward, and then turn this part towards the front of the dozer. So I adjusted it out 3 turns, and now it operates like it's supposed to. And what that did is that pushed that made it where the brake doesn't engage. You have to pull the handle further back for the brake to engage. See, that's right there's the clutch and there's the brake. And it was hitting clutch and brake all in one whack right there. So that's what I did to fix that. And it wasn't shifting properly. It wasn't. John Deere states it needs to be snappy, because if not, you're going to burn your clutches. So what I did, what your protocol is on that is right here's your clutch, and again here's the front of the dozer. So here's your clutch, and you can make a mark. You can make a mark on the air filter. This on mine is a 1/2 inch. You're supposed to have 3 3/4 of an inch until it. See how it stops right there? And then it'll go on down to engage. That's supposed to be 3 3/4 inches. You adjust it with this screw right here, coming off your brake pedal. I mean, you can't miss it. But you'll have to take these pans, go in there. You have to take those pans off to get to that bolt to adjust that. And then on your left-hand side, there's this big plug right here. If you pop that plug, I've done broke the little thing on the bottom. It holds mine in tight. But you pop that plug. Now we're looking into the bell housing. And if you see that screw right there, you can see it working that's actually the throwout bearing right up there. You see it working the throwout bearing? And what you do is you turn that screw counterclockwise or clockwise, is what I did, until your gauge, you have to have a gauge. Alright, here's where your gauge goes. There's a plug. You'll hear this plug talked about if you've got one of these dozers that fills the transmission full of water. It's got to be tight. There's an O-ring. But you take the plug out, and inside that plug, there's a little 1/4 inch nipple. Or you got to take this big barrel plug out, and there's a little plug inside there. You take it out, screw you a gauge in there, and I think it's a 1/4 inch. And that gauge, when you're turning this, the gauge should go up to 160 to 180 psi but now when you're turning this up, and you just have to watch the gauge to know which way you're turning, if you're turning the pressure up or not. But when you're turning this, you want your pressure to be about 160, and that should give you a snappy start and stop, reverse, whenever you're pushing. And after that, if it's too responsive, I believe, or if it's too it's too much pressure, you come to the other side of the dozer, have to pull your foot pan off again, like I was telling you. And there's another plug right here. And you pull that plug, and you can see there's another bolt. Alright, underneath this bolt, you gotta stick a socket down in there, maybe put some grease on it, whatever you're gonna do. Pull that bolt out, and if you don't, if you drop it in there, it's gonna be in the bell housing until you pull the motor to get it out. But when you pull that out, it's gonna be kind of like a tube with threads on it. That's what it looks like. But it's got a spring, and there's probably gonna be some pennies in there. If there's not enough pressure, you add a penny. The book calls it shims. If there's too much, you take some pennies out, and you just put some grease on the penny, stick it in there, put it back in. The spring goes in, then the shims, and then the bolt. If you take that apart, I can guarantee you there's a penny in there, though. I know there is in this one, but every one of them I've seen has had a penny in it, so at some point in time. But there's a spring, and there is some pennies, and that's how you adjust your transmission. And the brake locking up over on that track was a problem. And when you adjust this pressures, and you're adjusting that screw on the other side of the transmission, right there, right over there, well, right there, that plug. Here's the other plug. When you're adjusting either one of those, the transmission fluid, I don't have a temp gauge. Right here was my temp gauge. Needs to be anywhere, the book says anywhere from 150 to 160 degrees, I want to say. When you're adjusting on your pressures and stuff. So it does have to be warm. You can't do it. You can't come out and cold start it and then do it, but it does have to be warm. I couldn't find anything on this either.